There are opportunities for investment. Deliberately in Kenya, we are taking steps, as we agreed with the rest of the continent leaders, that we are going to work on our policies. We're going to work on regulations. We're going to put together a package of incentives so that we can facilitate opportunities for you, for business people, for the private sector to invest along with us in the opportunities that are glaring. Raw materials from the African continent is one investment we are targeting. We're going to provide you with energy at 5 US cents. We're going to provide land for free, where you're going to do the manufacturing. And we are going to be the first country to buy your product. And the region is going to be available to you. And the continent is going to be available to you as a market. As you're all aware, the reason why all of us are in Dubai is because we have a situation that has been occasioned or fomented by the use of energy. The use of fossil fuel and coal energy has got us to where we are today. We have an existential situation in our hands. And we decided that instead of continuing the old narrative and the old antagonism between the North and the South, and sometimes East and West, we decided that we can actually forge a different collaboration that gives us a win-win outcome. And we decided that it was time for the West to work with the North. And it is time the East worked with the West. And it is time the public worked with the private. That way, we can have a world that is a world of winners, not one versus the other. It is the reason why we decided to develop a new narrative for Africa. We've made a conscious decision as leaders in the continent that it's time for us to export green products. And the reason why we are having tough negotiations and conversations at the COP is because we are trying to reorganize the market so that the raw materials we used to sell become finished products for others to buy. We've been buying finished products from others. It is time for them to buy finished products from us. We are having a robust conversation on how to de-risk investments, especially by the private sector. That is why we are having a conversation of the reform of the international financial architecture, because it was made for a certain group of countries, for a certain purpose, at a certain time, to achieve a certain aim. The world has since changed. Climate change has even changed it further. And therefore, there is need for a new conversation. And I am very happy that finally, we are all agreed that there is need and urgency to have a new charter on international financial architecture that will empower the multilateral development banks and institutions to be able to give more concessional funding, to de-risk investments in different parts, and to acquire new tools of making sure that the private sector can invest without too much risk. We have made sure in Kenya that you can repatriate your profits as and when you want. We have clear tax incentives on your investments. And this evening, I want to listen to what more you think the government of Kenya should be doing so that you can make that decision to invest. The abundance of renewable energy, 60% is in the African continent. And that is why this meeting is important. And that is why the conversation we had this afternoon about Africa green industrialization is a conversation that is befitting our moment. We have an opportunity for the East to work with the West, and North to work with the South, and the public to work with the private, to unlock this huge potential in our continent. 60% renewable energy, 40% minerals, including those which are useful for transition, a huge, potent human capital with a median age of 19, enormous resources in food production, 60% of the world's uncultivated arable land in our continent, and of course the huge natural carbon sinks. When you invest in Kenya, and that is the conversation we're going to have, you will not only be investing in Kenya, every aspect of it will have either the East African community market of about 300 million people. We've just concluded the tripartite agreement between East African Community, COMESA, and SADC that brings together 720 million people and 28 countries into one trading bloc. So as I persuade you to make your investment in Kenya, it's not the 55 million Kenyans I am looking at. It is the 1.4 billion people, depending on how you want to invest. In the next 7 years, we will be 100% green. And by 2040, we want to increase our energy potential or energy opportunity from 3 gigawatts at the moment to 100 gigawatts by 2040. And already we have investments in that direction.